We are talking about functions and parameters, arguments, section 10. Continue on function parameters and arguments. Argument types. Okay. Now a simple dummy function. What is the minimum that you can have? Of course, a function definition, just a function definition won't suffice. Even if you don't want to have any body in the function, and at the same time you want to define a function object, minimum what you need to have is this. What you should do in the exam also, same thing. So now we can invoke it. Sorry. So this is what is the minimum that is allowed. Now what does it return? So pass is similar to, if you are familiar with assembly programming, you might have heard about no-op instruction. Okay, there are instructions called add r1 comma r2 comma r3, which is r1 is equal to r2 plus r3. So registers. No-op is an instruction which does nothing, but it consumes a cycle, one cycle of the CPU. Okay, so this may be a single cycle based on the RISC processor or whatever processor it is. So no-op also does nothing with the registers, or no operation is done, but it consumes one cycle. So similar to that, there is a pass instruction or a keyword which you can keep it inside a dummy function that does nothing but giving you a empty body of a function. Okay, fine. Now I want to pass some data. Now, okay, what I wanted to say is default it returns none type. Okay, even though I have not put any return or no body of the function, it still returns something, and which is getting printed here as none. So the return type is none. Okay, so type, if you want to print it. Okay, sorry, I should have kept it as another bullet. So it's a none type. None is so none type is returned. Now earlier I have not mentioned about this, so let me maybe take this opportunity to explain. Some data you are passing to a function, and if data equal to 1, okay, I'll tell you why I am writing this. Return I got data as 1. Now so if I print it, what am I doing? I am just passing 1, and if it is equal to 1, I got this, so I got return value. Now suppose if I pass something other than 1, what do I get? I get none. Now is it because there is nothing, no body is there, but it doesn't go inside, but it returns with a none value because it doesn't see anything coming there. Now how do I use this value? Suppose if I say if return val print return val is true, so in Python it is capital 2, else print return val equal to. Now where do you think it will land into? If I am here, you can see that it is none type. So does the none type get resolved into true or false? Okay, so let us see. Now it has come here. It has not consumed this as a true value. None is the return value is actually a none, which you printed it here. And then when I check it for a boolean of that, none is not treated as a true value. So it is landing into this, and then it says that it is none. Now, what does it mean? That means none type is not considered to be a boolean true, and it is treated as a false. Okay. Now let us do whether is it true with only none or any other type also. Let us see that. What about the null character? Null string is true or it is false. Oh, too many. Null string is false. Maybe I should put capital because Python treats it like this. This you can see that null string is also treated as a false. Now if you are checking it like this, it is okay. But if you are trying to check it along of the boolean, suppose if you want to apply a boolean logic on top of it, suppose if you want to make it true, I have not told you this. Maybe I will tell that just for the people who are new to Python. There is no exclamation mark equivalent to exclamation mark in C. Here everything is like words, not, and, or, you have to use it. So here null string is false. Okay, so you get it here. That means what? This is a boolean value of that is considered to be a false, and not of that is true, and if true, so it comes here. So null string is false, not of that is of course true. So you can convert that a null string into a boolean value by typing it like this. Now what about the other similar types? So let me not write everything. Let me take it out from here. I'll show you. Don't think that I am rushing. Okay. Now let me show you here. All these evaluates to bool false. Byte type conversion is a must before evaluating a bool type. Bool type conversion is must before evaluating it to on a boolean expression. The outer parenthesis, okay, this outer parenthesis is also needed. Okay. Now let me tell what I'm saying. I'm saying null string I'm converting into a bool type. That means we are creating a bool object, passing a null string object as a constructor. So it constructs a boolean object with a value of false, and then this is another single apostrophe. Now set object, empty set object also results in a boolean false. Empty tuple is also boolean. Empty list is boolean. Empty dictionary, of course, integer 0 and a floating point 0.0. They all evaluate to be a false value. So R of all the false will be false, and then you have a not of that. So if any one of them have any value, then it will not come. Okay, let us not give it now. Now it says that yes, all of them are false. Okay, but if I make any one of them, even this, if I make it maybe some non-zero value, you don't get that. Okay, this you are not getting it now because this is not evaluated to be a false value. because it's a non-zero value. So if you know by triple ITB, sorry, not triple ITB, triple E, IEEE 754 model of floating point, there is a fixed pattern for 0.0 plus as well as minus. Okay, so I think even minus should resolve into a 0. Yes, so there is a pattern for both plus and minus 0.0 for floating point number, which is considered to be a Boolean false as far as the Python is concerned. So this I thought I'll just tell you in case if you are not familiar earlier. Okay, now let us go into our positional arguments. These are all nothing to do with the argument, but I thought I will mention it, which you are supposed to know. Now let us write some function. Okay, now my function. So you know that it will print A and B. Now what about if I say only one parameter? So it's a required positional argument. Both are required argument, and I am not giving both of them here. So it should give that one required positional argument str2 is missing. Okay, and it can say that which is missing because it is associating the first parameter to be for this argument to be the first parameter. So it says that str2 is missing, so you can get some meaningful error message which you can correct it in case if you do it. Okay, now you know that positional arguments are a must. Now what about the type? Now suppose if I have my function int and str, how do I convert an integer? I can construct an integer object, and I'm constructing an integer object and returning it. Now if I say print sum is, I say number first and then the string here. Now it should resolve into properly because this is a string object which is getting converted here into an integer object, and luckily it is having a valid integer and then an integer number which is getting passed, and you get a sum. Now what if I interchange them? I make this as a string and this as a number. Now if it was a C, it should have got here that there is a type declaration is not matching, and compiler would have cribbed before even calling. But here it is not going to be giving any error while taking in the parameter. In fact, I can print these values without any problem. Int val comma str val, I can print it provided this is commented off. I can even print it. It says that 1 and 2, but you will not know whether it is a which was because when it is printing it is resolving it integer or a number, so you will not know when it is printed. But it doesn't crib when you are interchanging it here, because importantly it is no type is associated with those variables, so it doesn't care what you are giving. Some two labels are coming in and they are assigned these values. But when you do this integer conversion of the string value, now what happens is this is an integer object which is going in here. That is not a problem. But when you have a string here, this int val is treated as a string object. So it is trying to concatenate a string with a number. Okay. So now can only concatenate string, not int to str. So this is the error you get when you pass it like this. Okay. So error is little different from what you would have expected. That is because it accepts these values as whatever objects it is coming in. Printing is no problem, but when I'm trying to add it, this is a string. So then it is a plus is supposed to be a concatenation of two strings, and here int object is coming and then it is becoming an integer, but this int object is not possible to be converted into an int value, sorry, a string. But if I put a string here, yeah, it will not have any issue. For this invocation, what will happen? Unsupported operand type for plus. Why is it so? This is a string. I should be able to add another string to that. Is there any problem? Concatenation of string should be allowed. Let me see. Anybody give me some help? What is happening? Why it's not going through? Thank you. Okay, so error is coming here, not because of this. Okay. Yeah, thank you. This I missed those points. Thank you. So this is no problem here. Again, I am passing these two things, so that gives a problem. Otherwise, this shouldn't be an issue. So let us go back to our original thing. Otherwise, you will have issues. So I will remove them. Okay. This should be a gap, and only this should be an error, not the other one. Okay. Thank you. Now this is done. Okay, let us now see. Let us invoke it with the keyword arguments. Now, these are two numbers. Now, if I pass some keyword arguments, let us see. Let me print it. Now, I want to specifically tell what value I am passing it. And one more thing, you remember that when you are having a keyword arguments, there shouldn't be any gap between this. That's a convention. Don't leave any gap when you are assigning those parameter values. Whereas for other assignments, normally we will be having a space. Okay, that I insisted that there should be a space, but here convention is we should not have a space. Interval 1. So now, though order is different, I am assigning those. I am using the same name here, and I am assigning it. So this will go through, no issues. I can do it in the other order also, no problem. Okay, maybe I don't need to do that, but okay, I can do it for a completeness sake. But the only thing is you have to make sure that you are passing otherwise the conversion will have a problem. This is correct only, right? Okay, yeah, this is allowed one. So this is allowed. Now, what you understand, that is keyword arguments. If you are mentioning those parameters names while calling it, I can order it in any way and it will be accepting it. But if I miss anything, then there is going to be a problem. So let us see that whether I can do away with one parameter. No, you cannot do that because it's unexpected end of file. Okay, sorry. Now missing one required positional argument. Now it says that they both are considered to be a positional arguments, and when I am calling it with int val, it says that str val is missing. if I say strval, it will say int val is missing. So it accepts whatever you are given keyword argument, but it looks for the other one. Now this, you know that there will be error if I call with 1. Now what if I pass a positional argument and then a keyword argument? Now suppose another possibility is that I say this, it is same, nothing different here. I think I don't need to do this anyway. I will call this also. So this is, I am calling both. Okay. What is that I want to? Okay, I want to assign maybe int val here. What will happen? Int val. Now see here. What I am doing, I want to assign int val a value of 2 and then a positional argument. What is the error I am getting? Positional argument follows keyword argument. So this is not allowed. That means I told you here in this case, please, this is a little confusing. In these two invocations, I told you that keyword arguments can be in any order. I don't need to maintain an order. I can say strval first or int val next, no problem. But here I have a problem. That means if I am calling a positional, I am giving a positional argument. That means I am giving a value, not any keyword argument. That means I am not mentioning the name of those parameters while invoking. Then the order should be positional argument followed by keyword argument, not the other way around. This is invalid. So I cannot call this positional argument follows keyword argument. So here the error is positional argument follows keyword argument. Now what if I call this in the other way around? Let me comment up this guy. Now let me say this is 2 and this I want to assign it to our friend strval. Okay, now what is this? So it accepts. That means positional argument followed by keyword argument is fine, not the other way around. But if you are calling only keyword arguments, all of them, then in our case there are only these two. Then you can, if you are assigning values for each of those keyword arguments, that they can be in any order. So how does the compiler perform this job? Okay, so when you are assigning like this, when keyword arguments, when you are giving it as a parameters or arguments, first thing what it does, it goes around looking for any keyword argument that you have in your invocation here as well as here. It looks for this name which matches with those variable parameter names and gives those values to those, and then it processes the rest of the list in the parameter list or argument list. I should call argument list. Then it wants the order of positional argument followed by a keyword argument. If there is other way around, then it has an issue and it gives you error. Okay, that is a language instruction that you need to have keyword arguments which follows the position argument. So all the positional arguments in your function call should be given first. In this case, since you are giving a keyword argument value, the only thing what need to be given is this positional argument, and this happens to be the first element there, and you need to make sure that it is given a value before you give the next one. So that's why there is a error here that positional argument follows keyword argument. Okay, fine. This I hope it is clear. Now let us look at some little big list of values. So let me pull it out from here to save time. Now what I am doing, relative order between positional and keyword arguments. I want to explain some relative ordering. Now I am naming them as pos1 and pos2 just to say that these two are likely to be a positional arguments. That means what? I am going to give directly some values for it, not assign POS1 is equal to something. And this I am calling them as int val1, int val2 and strval1. Then I am printing these values, whatever I am getting it, so that I know what is coming in. Now let us try to use one by one here. There are different things which are allowed and which are not allowed. So maybe this also I will save time by pulling out from here one by one and explaining you, so that I don't need to type it and you can easily follow it. It's not very difficult. Now I am going to number them as 1 to 2 so that you can match with the printouts what you get. Now what I am doing, 1, 2, that means two different values. I am passing it as a position 1 and 2. So then the rest of it I am passing a keyword arguments. So the condition that you saw earlier, that positional arguments should be given first, and then once you give keyword arguments, the rest of it has to be a keyword argument. So I have given all of them are keyword arguments, but the order of this is immaterial. But even though it is immaterial, I think I am giving it, no, I am giving it in a reverse order, some other order. Int val2 I am giving first, then 1, then 2, str val2 and then str val1. Order is different. Now what does the compiler do? It just looks for all these keyword arguments and it knows these names of those parameters. It associates this value, so it will place these parameters in these locations correctly when before invoking the function, and then it looks for the positional arguments before them, which are there for both of them, and it takes one as pos1 and 2 as pos2. So everything is satisfied. It accepts these values. So correctly it has matched with val2 as val2. It doesn't go by the order in which you are calling. It goes by the name that you are giving. Okay. So that should be clear to you. Now let us look, just verify them one by one. Here rest of it is fine. What is the difference between these two? I have changed the order. Int val I am putting it in the end, and str val one also no issues. You get the same output like previously. So just to demonstrate that order does not matter. Now what about this? I already told you that it is error, so no surprises, but still it's okay. Let us see what to expect. Now if I have this, what is happening? I have error, one positional argument left out. Here I have given only one value and then I am not giving any positional argument, or I am not mentioning pos2 also in any of my things. Now it says that one position argument is missing. So that is pos2 is missing. Now how do I fix this error? I can fix this error by giving that value. This is what I have done. In case you want to check that, what I have done is 1 I have given, but 2 I have taken it as a keyword argument. Okay, pos2 also I mentioned it. Now it will not look for that position argument. It will only look for this which is not mentioned in any of this list. Rest of it is a keyword arguments. I have given values for each of them. So it has assigned all of them and then looks for one value which is there. So this also goes through without any, oh sorry, what happened? Pos2, what is the problem here? str val1, val1 into val1, val2. Okay. Oh, pos1, pos2 name is wrong. Pos2 is correct. $990. Let me check. What is the problem? Let me see. 4. Okay, some problem. Let me check. Compare. This is working fine here. Oh, sorry. This is funny. Anybody? Anybody can help me out? Is it so? Are you sure? But it says error as type error at line 90. Oh, again this problem is it? So I thought 90 is here. Okay, same problem I am doing. Sorry guys. Okay. Yeah. Okay, same problem. I misread as 90. Okay. So this is I am giving pos2 as keyword argument, then this goes through. Okay, fine. Now what else I can give you? Other errors should I give you? Only what is interesting I will take it out. Okay, let me take this out. Why this error is? Now let us look at this. What I am is going to give me an error. Got multiple values for argument pos1. The problem here, when you give positional argument, okay, this is very interesting observation. You are giving str val2, val1 and int val1, val2, all of them are you are given properly. Now if I give pos1 equal to 1 here and 2, then it's not going to accept it. The reason is, first what does it do? It, as I told you, that all the keyword arguments are assigned to those parameters. We have a pos1 as a first parameter to this function, which has been already given this value 1. Now it again looks into this list, argument list, and then start assigning by first thing what it sees, it will assign to the first parameter that it sees. So it will try to assign even this value 2 to position 1, which has already been assigned a value here. So this will show you what is internally happening. It first looks at all the keyword arguments and assigns them the values that you are given, and then it starts looking at the remaining parameters that you have, and then starts assigning it again by going through in the same order. So it looks at 2 and then it will give it to pos1 only. So since already pos1 has a value, it says that you have multiple values assigned to pos1. It is not intelligent enough to say, okay, pos1 I will give 1 and then position 2 I will give this value. The logic is not built into that, because again it will resolve into some complex, some clashes in between. So that's why they don't allow that kind of a assignment. So this is very tricky, which you may think that why is it coming? That's the reason it is. So remember that it evaluates them, assigns them, and then goes through the list one by one and starts assigning it to the parameters that you are passing. So that's why this is important. Now let me take this also. I think there is some reason behind so much of writing. So let us use it. Now, okay. Compiler assigns the positional argument values in the same order of parameters in the function definition. Once it assigns the value, that variable cannot be given a keyword argument. Okay. Now that's what. Now error got multiple values for argument pos1. So let me look at this before I look at the error. Let us look at the values that we are passing it to this function. I said 1, 2, 3. Now, see here, these values have been already assigned. All the str value 1 and 2 and interval 1 and 2 are assigned. So it has taken care of those parameters. Now what happens? We have given extra additional parameters here. Though there are only 2 positional arguments, we have given 3 values. Now the error that you get is little confusing. It's not saying that more number of yeah, that error is different. I think this is the error. I should post it. This is the correct error. So let me copy paste there. Okay, this is a valid error for this. Now what happens is it has already assigned this, and then it goes into this list for parameter list. It goes by one. Now pos1 is assigned this value, pos2 is assigned this value, then int val 1, I think, right? Yeah, int val 1 is assigned 3. It's trying to assign that, but you have already given this. So it says that int val 1 has a multiple values for it. Now how do I remove this error? It's very simple. Let me just show you this. I should remember to comment off both before I get confused and confuse you also. Okay, now at least that error is not going to come. Now if I don't give this, because it is trying to assign this to a int val 1, I should not give a keyword argument of that. The rest of it is fine. Now if I do this, it should work without any problem, hopefully. Yes. So I get the same values, but now int val 1 is going to have 3, which is given here. Then the remaining is valid assignment. So I hope you understand the order, how the interpreter is behaving when you invoke many things. You will have a better idea now. Now before we finish off this completely, I want to show one more so that nothing is left out. Hopefully I have covered every part, I think. So let us see what is happening. I think this is same as what I have given. Yeah, it's nothing different, I hope. Now what is happening? I have given 2 values, pos1 and pos2 are assigned this, and then I am duplicating again. So that's very valid. I think nothing new here. So got multiple values for pos2. Okay. So this is understandable. I hope now you are all clear how keyword arguments and positional arguments are resolved. Okay, it's a resolution of this, what you pass and what you get invoked with, what all the values are going in. So those things are clear now. Now let us try to understand this. Should I write it? No. This is very important. Another thing. Okay. This is one different error. So let me show you this. Now, suppose if I am calling the interpreter itself finds the error. That is, I cannot have a keyword argument followed by positional argument that I mentioned already. Non-default argument cannot be given. So once you start giving a keyword argument, the rest of the parameters should have keyword arguments. It's in between you cannot have one. So that's the error that you get here. Okay, that I told you in the discussion in the first section. So that's done. Now let us look at this. This is the function definition. I am going to use it now. I think they are same. Is there any difference between what I have given? No, nothing different. Now what am I trying to do here? Let me show you. Is there anything new other than what I have explained? I don't think this is anything new. Oh, yeah. Sorry. Everything is new here. Sorry. Now, what I have given earlier invocation, earlier function definition, there were no default parameters. Okay, we have just given this variables parameters, and there were no default values given to them. Now the major difference here, now I am going to give default values here. Okay, or this is visible, I think. So let me see. Okay, everything is visible. Now what I am doing is two positional arguments followed by default values for each of them. Now, how does the keyword arguments and the default with along with the default value, how does it behave? Now, that's what we are going to see a couple of examples. Now, let me take this out. What is this? I am saying 1 and 2 are positional argument. There is no controversy here. Now, to differentiate between the default values and the keyword argument values, I am giving all caps here so that you know when it is printed, you will get the proper value. Now all these things, though they all of them have a default values, I have given keyword values. So you can get these values only. All of them are caps, and then position arguments are coming fine. Now what if I miss something here? Okay, so now what is happening? I am having a default value for all these parameters. Now str val2 and val1 is there, int val2 is there, val1 is missing. Now what happens? The positional arguments are given properly. They are taken for these two. And then this guy is little flexible now. Even though you have not given an initialized keyword argument value for this, since you are given a default value, this parameter int val1, it will take this as a default value. So it doesn't say that number of parameters, positional parameters missing, or because it is not going to treat this as a positional argument, because you have a default value for it, and if you don't give it, it is willing to accept it and then take that value what you are given, default value. So I hope this is clear to you. So again the logic is same. It goes through these assignments, keyword arguments, assigns to those variables, and then it comes in this order and then assigns whatever value. If you don't give it, it will take a default value. Now what if I do not give str val1? Okay, next one, I think I have not tried it earlier, so let me do that. I just pull out this guy. I don't want to give this. Okay, I have given only these two values. Now let me call it as 10. What happens? Now also no issues. Position arguments are taken, and then it is willing to assign whatever values are missing. As long as the default values are given, they will assign to those variables. So int val1, val2, both were not given at all. Sorry, int val1 was not given, str val1 was not given. So in between something was given. So the summary is, keyword arguments can be in any order, and if they have a default values in the definition, then you can arbitrarily drop some parameters while calling, or you can say you can drop some arguments while calling. They will be filled with the default values whichever is missing in your invocation. Okay, so it is flexible enough to capture them. The reason is, finally the compiler should be in a position to unambiguously assign the values to the parameters. Yeah, as long as it is possible to do, it will give you the flexibility of missing out something, dropping out something. But if you're not given a default value, then there is a problem. Then you cannot drop anything arbitrarily. Similarly, positional arguments have to be given because they don't have a default value. So you need to have 1 and 2 for sure. Now, what is the minimum parameter that I need to pass to successfully invoke this function? What is the minimum number of parameters or arguments I need to pass to successfully call this function? It is 2. Okay, so let me also do that before we wind up our discussion on this 11. Minimum thing what I need is 2 parameters need to be there, because the rest of the things have a default values. So all of them get a default values. So if you understand all these invocations, now your mind should be very clear about how these things are processed, and when you get an error also, you will be able to find out how to fix it. Okay, So any questions? I think we are closely nearing for a break. Maybe I will complete this. No, I don't know. Can I do that? I think I can do it. Any questions from anybody? No. Okay. So let us try to finish off. I want to leave maybe 10 more minutes I will take before we take a break. Okay. So where are we? Now we have understood all these things. Now let us see whether I need to use the. This is very important thing. I want to complete it before we break. Now let us take this example. Okay. Default values are calculated during the function definition. Yeah, that is very important thing you should remember. Let me explain it. What I mean by that. Now imagine I am calling a function with a list param f1 list. I am giving a default value for it, which is a this f1 list, one string with the inside a list object. It's not an empty list. Some parameter is there. Now, once you know that it's a list object, which is a parameter, and it's a mutable object. Okay. Now, I am calling it with a default value, which is given here. Now, the question is, when is this evaluated? Is it evaluated on every invocation or not? Now, before I explain this, I want to take a detour, go to our C. There was some doubt on this, not from you guys, from other guys. Okay, integer fn, I am writing a C function. I have int a. I have a static int s is equal to 100, return a plus s. Now, fn 2. What do I get as an output? Return value? Very simple. I don't know. You are not saying. Okay. I will get one or two, right? Okay. Now, let me slightly change the function. Okay. I am not doing what I wanted to do. Okay. Okay. Now, can you tell me what is the output? $104. Correct. Very good. Then let us say correct. Is it 105 or 103 or any other value? Yeah, 106. Huh? Okay, let us just look at it. What happens here? 2, you are passing 2. At that time, s is equal to 100. Now, here, s is equal to 100 plus 2, 102. Then this is evaluated as 102 plus 2. So, it gives out 104. Correct. Now, when I come in with 3, now let me come in with the 3. S is how much? S is already 102. So it is not going to be initialized every time that I call this function. This is done once on loading this program. Okay. Once on loading this program. So S was 100 when it starts running. But once I change it, this value remains the same. It retains the value. That's what we say, that static variables within a function retains the value. So it retains this 102. So when I come back again with the 3, s is 102. So let me use the red only in the second invocation. Then S will be equal to 102 plus 3, which is 105, right? I am coming in with 3. S plus A I am doing. So this will result in 102 plus 3, which is 105. Then I am returning 105 plus, okay, plus is this side, 3. A is coming in. This is value is 105 already. And then I am adding a 3, which is coming in now. So it should be 108. None of them is correct. Is it correct? Did I make any mistake? Are you guys clear now, or I confused you more? Okay, yeah, thank you. So what I want to tell you is uh, static variable is initialized once and then used the old value is retained, and then the invocation, every invocation the old value is there. It's not initialized every time. Similarly, when I have uh, a Python definition function with some parameter a equal to 2, then I do this. This assignment of a equal to 2 is done on first definition, and then on every invocation, if I am having any changes, if this is an immutable object, if this is a not to a equal to 2 may not have that kind of a thing. But if I have a mutable object here, like what I have shown you, then you will have on every invocation something different. So I am trying to explain that now. So imagine I am calling this function and then I am printing this value. Okay, now let me maybe I will use this what I have written so that I can save some time. Quickly I can finish it off. Now what will I get? I will get the same string which is modified. Now suppose if I do this, now tell me what will I get? I am creating a argument list and then I am assigning a value, then saying that arg list is passed and this printing. Now will I have any of this value there? I will not, because I am passing a new list object instead of using the default what is getting created. So I will get this org list only. But this object is already there, okay, somewhere in the memory, and it is having this value, but it is not getting used because it is not called with that value. It is not used at all. Okay, it's only we are passing another parameter, so it works. Only this parameter is used. Now let me do one more thing. What if I do this? So I am not using a default parameter now. I have created a org list object and then passed it once. Now I am appending it with another value. Now if I print it, what will I get? I am getting this additional one because this function is getting passed with a mutable object. So anything that I do outside is getting reflected, or even inside if I do it also will be reflected. Okay. So maybe I will do that. I have not done that. Fn list dot append inside function. Okay. So every time when I am coming in, I am going to add this element. So what happens is, when I print it outside after coming out, it has done it. Now suppose if I invoke it again, so let us do that. This is what is side effect of this parameter. I invoke it again. What happens? This inside function gets added every time, and of course list is maintaining the order in which they are added, so you get to see the order in which they are invoked. Now whatever is happening inside the function is reflected on outside also, because you are passing a mutable object to it and always a reference, and you by now you know that what is happening here. Okay, so let us do one thing. Now I am going to do something little different. I am going to return that object out. Now what I'm doing is function with list parameter, but returns. It returns also the list. Either what is being passed is returned or what is getting created with a default parameter is returned. Okay, it can be any one of them. Okay, if you are passing it, that will be returned. But if you are not passing it, then what is getting created will be returned. So I hope that is clear to you. Now I am going to call it without passing any list. Now what will happen? I am calling this function without passing anything. That means it is going to create it, add this value element, and it is returning it. So now return list will have the list which has been created by the default value, with the default value. So you get, is getting printed here, and what you get is this. Okay, now what I want to explain here is this is what I want to explain. I will finish off this and then we will break. Okay, please hold on, please have patience, another 5 minutes maybe maximum. So now what I'm doing is, this return list I got, what is it? Actually it is created when this function was called without any parameter. So, and that object I don't have an access, but now because I am returning it, I have an access to that. It is assigned here. I am using that object to append one more, add one, and calling this function parameter, this function without any default argument. That means what? Without any argument. Then it is going to use this fn list only inside, and it is going to print that value. Now you can see that what you do outside of it is getting reflected here. So that means what I am trying to drive home is, once it is created, it is not every invocation, it is not created. Okay, that fn list is not created every time with a fresh single value like a static variable inside a C function. It retains the old value. So if you modify it, or if you modify it inside or whatever, even if I add it inside, suppose if I do the same thing that what I did, let me do that, list append inside fn. So it is going to retain that every time I invoke. So you see that inside function. So it is similar to static variable of C. Okay, so I hope this is clear. I am doing all this to explain one simple thing. I think too much. So let us take a break now. I think I should not hold on to more time before you say that stop. Okay, thank you for 108. Okay, very good. So shall we have a break, or you don't want? Yes. Okay. So 7:11. Sorry, 9:11. Okay. 9:11 is not a good number. Let us meet at 9:11. Okay, it's PM, not 9:11. October 9, September. Okay. Break for 10 minutes. Bye bye. Hello. Hello. Can you hear me? Oh, sorry. Hi. Welcome back. Hope you can hear. Okay. Thank you. So let us quickly complete where we have left off. Then I'll have to cover the variable arguments before we end the section. Okay, where are we? Print 2 with the return. So what I was saying is, when you are passing a mutable object, as a parameter to a function, then it gets changed. And if you are not using the default value, then what you pass as an external argument goes in. If you are using the default, then that is what is getting changed. Now I have not shown you, I think I have shown the arg list, right? Yeah, arg list I showed you. So arg list means we are creating a new list from outside and then passing it. Then the default is not getting modified. Now I am getting the return list from there and modifying it, which will be retained. So that's what is we saw. Now anything else I need to tell? Now two things will be maintained, okay? That what is getting returned could be the default value, or it could be a org list that I am having. Now let me call this now, okay? I will show you something very interesting, which is, now suppose I have already called using this default list twice, and then we saw that the value was add one. Inside function is added twice because I call this function twice. Inside function is added twice. Now what I'm doing is I'm creating a new list, arg list, and then passing it. Now let me not call it as 2, let me call it as 3. Now what happens? I am passing the arg list now, which is created outside, and that gets added with the inside function. It comes. Now let me call this again. I'm invoking it with the arg list now. Remember, I'm not using the default which is appearing. Now what will I get? Arg list, inside function, inside function. Twice I called, so it is getting updated. Now what happened to that default list? Will it remain still valid? Now let us see. Now suppose if I am calling this function without a parameter. Now, sorry. Without a parameter, I am calling it. Now what do you expect to have? Will it have the old value, which was, where is it? Yeah, this one. Not this one, this one. The latest one is this. So f1 list inside function was called twice. I did add one earlier. So when I call now, it should be this content along with one more inside function should come because I am adding a new element inside. So now you see here this along with another inside function. That means that still that object is still valid. It is there in the memory, object memory, and when you call it without any parameter, that gets invoked. So if by any chance if you have a default argument with a mutable object, you need to be extra careful because the number of times you call is going to impact, and then whether you are calling with the default parameter or without that is going to have an impact. So this is a major cause for a concern or inbuilt some error. So better to avoid, or unless you are very clear what to do, what are you doing with this, you have to be careful. Otherwise, you are likely to make a mistake there. Okay, so I think I don't need to do some more additions here. Now, these are not required. Now let us look at this. I think there is some reason why I have put it. So let us do this. Now I have two default parameters, and P1 and P2. I'm printing both of them inside. Okay, so let us see what I have for this. Okay, once default values are assigned to parameters, the param to its right will also get a default value. So I think that is already covered. I don't know why I am doing it here. Two default parameters, so is nothing wrong different. You have param 1 which is being passed as a positional argument. So this P1 gets param 1 and P2 gets default param 2. So that comes. Now what if I call this with both values, then I think this is already we have covered. Okay, so nothing wrong new. You get both as values. Now error. Now let me see why there is an error here. Now suppose if I call, this also I have covered already. So this is a repetition. Default argument followed by a position argument is not allowed. So that already I have covered. So I think maybe I will remove it to avoid repetition. So this is done. Now I am sure all of you have understood how default values, if you give what happens, and then keyword arguments and then position arguments, all three together. I hope all of them is clear now. Unless you have any doubts, I will go to the next, which is variable number of parameters. Any questions from anyone? Okay. Now let us look at variable number of arguments like printf. So in printf, what happens? Let us also see what happens in printf. Now, how does the C process it? I told you about parameters being passed in two ways, partially by registers, max 4 in ARM, and then the rest in stack. This is parameters for optimization purpose, because you don't need to access the memory, stack memory, if they are in registers. So R0 to R3, they are passed. Now what happens when you are saying that I have a function which accepts variable number of parameters? Can you implement this way of first 4 in registers and the rest in stack when you have a variable number of parameters? It is not possible. Let me tell you why. Okay, it's not possible because I may have a printf which just a hello world without any parameter. Now, if I say that I am going to follow this process because it's optimized, then R0 will have the pointer to the format string. This is the format string. A pointer to the format string character star will be in R0. Now, how will my program, which is inside the printf, know whether I am having any valid values in these parameters or not? Okay, do I have it or not? That maybe I can find out by scanning through this. Okay, even normal printf is doing that. It scans through the printf format string, and then whenever it finds a format specifier, then it knows that there is one more parameter after this character string. If I have a valid another specifier inside this format, then it knows that one more parameter is there in the parameter list. So by scanning through the format string, the printf realizes that there are more and more parameters following it based on number of things it encounters. But there is a possibility that you may have a format specifiers but not pass these values. Okay, so what I mean by that, suppose I have a printf, I say %s, 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 and then I pass only one pointer maybe, okay, some character pointer cptr, and then call it. Now, will my compiler crib for this? No. I have mentioned 3 format specifier. I am supposed to have passed 3 parameters here, but I stopped with only one. This is a valid invocation as far as the compiler is concerned, because format string is there and then you have a parameter, any number of parameters you can give. I have given only one. Now what is the problem in this? It's a runtime issue. When I have many specifier and I don't have a valid parameters for them, what is the printf going to do? It is going to scan through this printf and then comes to know that there is one parameter, then it will match with this. How will it find out? It is going to be in the stack. It is going to search through the stack and then expect that the stack is having those parameters already passed in. Now, in case if you do not have a parameter passed, it is still going to assume that the stack is having the parameter and then take that as a pointer and tries to print it. That's why you get a runtime crashes or segmentation fault when those parameters argument the specifiers are not matching with the number of parameters that you pass. So that's why printf could be a potential cause for crash when you don't take care of these two. Okay, because the compiler has generated the code such that it will scan through the printf format string and then tries to look into the stack for locating those parameters. Now, that means that I cannot have a register based parameter passing when I have a variable number of parameters in a function call. So it will default all the parameters following this character string. Even this will be in the stack. Okay, even this character pointer will be in the stack, and the remaining parameters also will be in the stack. And then your printf implementation should know whether the stack is growing down or up based on which processor it is running for, or there should be some configuration mentioned, so that the printf code you should write such that whether the stack is going down or up, based on that you process the parameters. That's why implementing a printf, you need to have a knowledge of the processor on which you are running this code. Okay, whether it's a 32-bit processor or a 64-bit processor, and what is the width of the stack, and whether the stack is going up or down, all that information you should have. So if you are interested in this kind of a programming, please look at some implementation of printf which is available in the thing, and then you can try to find out, and then you can also implement it. I think I have given you that parameter also, assignment. Now let us forget about the C program. Now Python also has a variable number of arguments. Now there are two things. One is variable number of positional arguments, and another one is variable number of keyword arguments. Okay, so let us see how we can implement this, or how to understand it. We can pass a variable number of arguments to a function using special symbols. There are two special symbols. One is star args for non-keyword arguments, and star star keyword arguments for keyword arguments. Okay, you know what is keyword argument. That is, this is followed by something. Okay, it need not be string, some number. Okay, so this is a keyword argument, and then if you are just passing a parameter, they are positional argument or a non-keyword argument. So you have n number of non-keyword arguments, and then you have variable number of keyword arguments. Then you can mention it as this. Okay, star args. Now one more thing, what the star means is the non-keyword arguments, variable number of non-keyword arguments. But this args does not mean that. Okay, this args does not mean anything. It can be any valid label that you can give. Similarly, this double star in your argument list or a parameter list says that you have a variable number of keyword arguments, but this does not need not be this exactly. You don't have to give kw args, you can give anything, but the convention is to use this. Okay, if you are not very particular about having anything, but you can use this as a, because anybody reading your code will be able to understand what is this function expecting. Now let us see how to use it. The symbol star is used for variable non-keyword arguments by convention. It is often used with args. The order of different types of arguments in a function definition, remember function definition, need to be, okay, when you are defining a function and different type of arguments you are having, some positional argument, some keyword arguments, and then some non variable number of non-keyword and variable number of keyword arguments. Now what is the order? Positional first, variable number of non-keyword arguments next, and the variable number of keyword argument. That means you need to have this args first and then keyword arguments. So any keyword argument should be at the end. That is expected. any positional arguments by value or a required positional argument should be the topmost, first most, the most, first the few arguments should be like that. Then the rest can be variable number of non-keyword arguments. So positional or required arguments followed by args followed by KW args. Okay, KW args. Let us see some examples. Now, how does args get passed to a function? So now suppose if I have a function which is just having args, assume that. Okay, this is not semicolon. Now when I have a function definition like this, I am calling this function with a comma b comma c. Now this a comma b comma c, all of them now fall into this. Now how is it going in? It is going in as a tuple of a, b, c. So this args, if you look at the type of args, it will be a tuple. Okay. And then how do I access these parameters? I don't even know how many are there. So you need to have for arg in args. Then you can access it one by one. It may be null, it may be many. You can access individual parameters that are coming in using this. So in a nutshell, variable number of non-keyword arguments are passed as tuple object by packing all the arguments into a tuple, and you enlarge it inside the function. Okay, you pack it here, you expand it here. Okay, inside the function. Now variable arguments need to be given together for the interpreter to pack it as a tuple before passing them into a function. So they need to be given together. I will tell you what I mean by together. If your function has required positional arguments, if suppose if your function def is having a function a comma b, then you give arg s. Okay, that means it has a required positional argument followed by non-keyword arguments, variable number of non-keyword arguments. Then this should be followed by this. Okay, so args should go at the end. Okay, so if I am calling fn a comma b comma c comma d, then the c and d will be packed as a tuple and a and b will go as it is. Okay, that's why it needs to be at the end of positional argument. Okay, now I will complete the keyword arguments also, then we will look at the examples once for all. Or no, let us not rush through. I will complete the arguments. Okay, first, okay. Positional argument will complete. Now, in case if I run out of time, we can stop with that. So, new file, save as. Args. Okay. Now, to save time, I am going to use existing code. Okay. What I am doing? Let me comment on one comment. Okay. F1 with args. Only args is there. I want to print the type as well as length of args that is coming in, and then I am saying type of args and length of args, then for arg in args. So if I am calling it only one parameter, what happens? You know very well. Length should be 1 and this should be tuple. It is taken care of. Okay, I am sure you understand what I mean by that. Okay, only one parameter has come in. Now what if I call it with two parameter? Very simple, nothing fancy about it. You know what to expect. 1 and 2, I print it. Now what if I do this? Now I can decide to pass either a list or another tuple inside as a parameter. Now this is args anyway. It will have 5 elements: one string, one two integers, and then one list and one set. If you print the type, now all of them are going in as a tuple, right? So still they are tuple. Number of entries are 5. Now you can understand why tuple allowed mutable objects also to be part of it, its element, though tuple itself is immutable. Now we want tuple to be immutable because when you are passing it as a parameter, we don't want they need to be modified. Okay, normally uh, mutable objects, if you are passing the function, can cause some problem, which we saw that. But if you are passing it as a tuple object, even if you are passing there, but okay, still you can modify it. It's not stopping you because the tuple object is not modified, but the object content can be modified. We saw that already. So, but one thing is you can change it. You can how it is implemented is all the objects are packed as a tuple and passed as a tuple object in as a single element, and then they are expanded inside. Okay, so number of elements passed is only one tuple object. Along, before that, all of them are packed inside and then invoked. Okay, so it's much more easier and simpler compared to our printf way of implementing it, because it is independent of the architecture. It doesn't have to bother about stack, doesn't have to bother about the direction of the stack, whatnot. So it's very easy to access those objects coming in, even though they are variable number of arguments. It is much processed much easier and less error prone. Not even less error prone. There is no error. Whereas you have multiple possibilities of making error in the printf cases when you are passing a multiple arguments, variable number of arguments. So that's one advantage of abstracting out as a tuple object and getting it passed. Okay, now let me tell you a very common name, explode and gather, which you might hear in any interviews. So it's better I explain that. Explode and gather. What I mean by explode and gather, we gather it when you are passing it. So when the function is getting parameters are getting passed, it is gathering all these parameters and then making it to a tuple object, this tuple object, and then you pass it to function, and then inside the function you explode it. You open it up and one by one you watch, see it. So now you are having a positional argument followed by args. All of them will be packed as args and they go in. Okay, so it is very easy. 1 and 2. Now let me tweak something little bit. Here itself I can tweak. Let me do that. Now what if I don't call this? So I know you would have guessed it. What would have happened? What happens is these two are taking as position 1 argument and the rest of it is packed as a tuple. Now I am not printing the positional arguments, which is not correct. So let me print them. Pass 1 and pass 2 are. So I am printing now so that you will know exactly which is getting passed where. So now pass 1 and 1 are taken as a position argument and the rest of them are packed as a tuple object and then given it to the function. So that's what is happening. I hope this is clear to you. Now let me do some more. I think that is done. Now, uh, okay, now I need to give this. Okay, I think we will stop with this. Now, what if I have a default value? Okay, is little more confusion will come in, which is getting assigned to what? Okay, you have a positional argument, and then this is also a positional argument with a default value. Then the rest of it is a non what is the non-keyword variable number of non-keyword arguments. Now, this is how I am defining it. Function with the pause and the keyword. This I am calling it as a keyword. Then args. Okay. Now, different invocations will result in something. So let us try to guess what will happen when I invoke it like this. Let us see. What I'm doing, I'm calling it with two positional argument. I am calling it as a pos1, pos2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, will ever this value be used? Now, this default value will not be used because I am passing a value here. So that will be taken in, and pos1, pos2 will be like this. Now, if I remove this, the same thing which sorry, I should not do that. To be every step, we should have it in the. Okay. Now, if I have it like this, again, one will be taken as pos1 and one as a position 2, and the rest of it will be packed. So, my question is, how do I make this pos2 to be taken as a parameter? Okay. I want this pos2 to be taken in as a parameter. How do I do it? I think if you are very attentive, you would have seen it in my code. So I don't want answer from you unless I do this. Okay, please, you can tell me in case if you find some other way. Unless I call with one parameter, I will never be able to use this default value in. Okay, I cannot take this in unless I pass only this value, and I cannot give anything here. Okay, that will be a null. The value will be null. If I print that, it will still be going in. Okay, let us see that. I should have a, yeah, I have this. Okay, now what I'm doing, I'm calling this. Okay, one more thing I forgot to mention. I am not using args now. I am using something else, which is perfectly fine. That's what I told you earlier. I did not bring it up. So this is some other value I have given, but star is very important to say that I am interested in collecting all the non keyword arguments. Now, what if I call this with one parameter? What will I get this here? What will I get here? Here pos2 will get this value, and this length will be 0. This variable will be coming in because it is there, the label is there. So it should have constructed a tuple object here, but there is nothing which is getting passed, so it will not be expanded. It will not have anything. So tuple object still there with no values. So remember, once this definition is there and with this value, the tuple object is created already. But whether you want to add any element to it or not is done while invoking it. But again, let me correct my words. It is not that the tuple object is created and then you are adding it, because tuple object is immutable. So every time when you are passing some parameter, the variable number of parameters, they are all packed together and tuple object is created and passed into it. Okay. So we should remember that tuple objects are immutable. So I cannot create it once and then keep adding new element to it, which is not possible. So whenever I'm calling, it will be created on the go, and that object is getting passed to the function. Okay. So very, very clear about what is happening. Okay, you need to be. Now